Me and you get a meetup. What's your name, bro? Like, let's call you John for now. So let's say you're back in high school, me and you. We go on a meetup, and we go out to do some cliff jumping. Like in the parks, we found a cliff, and we bring like all the cool kids with us, like from high school, like Brad and Justin and Brady. And they also bring with them a few, like good-looking chicks, like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10s. Like very pretty chicks. And then there's one girl who you actually kind of liked. You'd walk into class and you would always be like reserved, and you would walk in with like flexing your muscles, bro, and like walking in, the stoic face, always being in control, cool, calm, trying to make some funny joke, maybe occasionally, very rarely, timing your jokes, like thinking of what you're gonna say to her before you speak to her, like a day before, bro. Like, and we're all next to this cliff, and it's maybe 40, 50 feet down. And there's this like river flowing, like, maybe bridge jumping. Let's say we're at a bridge, like we're a bridge, and then there's like a waterfall down. Brad dives in, and he goes, "Whoa, water's nice, yo, yeah, calm down." And then like all the girls are looking at him, and "Yo, Brad, that's cool, let's go." Then Justin jumps in, and then I go ahead and I jump in, and you are standing there in the corner, like trying to flex your muscles, so like as the girls are watching, and they get sort of impressed by like looking at our physiques. And then you have an okay physique, but you want to impress them more. And you get closer to this cliff, you look down, and it's kind of intimidating, bro. It's like 50, 40 feet down. And you don't know if you should jump. And then this really elegant, pretty, feminine girl in the corner, you see her with your like corner of your eyes. She's looking at you. Her name is like Isabella. And she's looking at you. And you're sitting there like a pussy, like a coward. So and then you see me at the bottom, you're like, "Yo, Rustam is here, all the cool kids are here. We gotta do this." And you start to, you're like, "Okay, I'm about to go, and I'm gonna say that this is awesome." And you're about to like start like hyping yourself up, like you're like, all right, ready, let's do this. And then you jump, and you fall. And it turned out that you miscalculated your fall. You fell a little bit too close. And closer to the shore, there's some rocks. And this time you actually fall, and you hit your head. The back of your head hits a rock, and you lose consciousness. And you start bleeding from your head. You're still a little bit alive, but not for long. And all of us are coming over like, whoa, what the heck happened? We swim as fast as we can. We grab your head and we're trying to like cover the wound. But it's too much bleeding. And too much blood is lost. And Brad and Justin and Brady, they all start swearing, saying, "What the hell? What do we do?" They hop out of the water. Once the girls up top find out, they probably get scared and just run away. And I'm the only one in there, holding you, watching you die. And that all could have been prevented with one thing. before I dive into the actual, my opinions on how you can solve these problems, let's talk about the problems, solutions to the problems that are listed in this book, Boy Crisis. Two concepts: heroic and health intelligence. Heroic intelligence is, those are both intelligences that are primal. They're in our brains. That's a male concept. Specifically, heroic intelligence. Heroic intelligence is our primal instincts. When you stood at the top of that cliff and trying to flex your back muscles so that you think you look okay and the girls get impressed, and you're about to jump and you thought that if you jump you'll get a social bribe of women liking you more and the guys respecting you more. What happened? Your amygdala, the monkey brain, it took over. This is the heroic intelligence. You don't want to appear like a coward. You want status in society. And because of that, you died. And this happens way more often than you think. For example, in Switzerland, boys live 25% longer than boys in the Philippines. And in Kenya, the boys don't live as much as in the Philippines. Do you notice the pattern? The more civilized the country is, the more the next concept that I'm about to talk about, health intelligence, is developed. And the less developed the country is, the more heroic intelligence is developed. So what is health intelligence? Health intelligence is basically our prefrontal cortex, which is the front part of the brain. And there's a book, it's called like The Chimp Experiment, or The Chimp Brain, which I'm gonna do a review, I forget the name. It talks about those different parts of the brain, so if you wanna look further into it, it's also a very good idea, but I'll talk about it a little later. So, health intelligence is our brain that actually tells us that we should not jump, we should preserve our health, we should actually maybe delay our gratification. Something that Hamza preaches all the time. Delayed gratification. It doesn't have to just be applied onto, your everyday things. Like, oh yeah, let me just delay this and I'm gonna, not eat the junk food, I'm not gonna do this stuff. I'm not gonna binge it, I'm not gonna do all this stuff. It also applies to things like this, to where maybe I shouldn't jump off this cliff now because I've never done this. I don't care, you have to defy your lizard brain. You might have to lose your status in the hierarchy temporarily. Remember, you might have lost the battle, but you would win the war. Because now you're dead. I couldn't save you, bro. I'm sorry. My paramedic skills didn't work as well. So, it would have been much smarter to use your developed health intelligence. So yeah, maybe you wouldn't have looked to school, but you would have preserved your life. Now that doesn't mean that you should be lazy. So for example, there's a saying in Russian, it's called "Кто рано встает, тому Бог дает." Who wakes up early, God gives to. So it doesn't mean that you have to be necessarily lazy, like, yeah, I'm just not gonna do this. I'm not gonna actually eat clean because I might get cancer, I don't want to die from some lettuce poisoning. So I'll just stick to the standard diet. I won't go exercise because a weight might actually fall on me and then it'll crush my head. No. I'm talking about preserving your health and teaching you and your children specifically that you should have some health intelligence, because that is super, super important. Now, why does this usually happen? Like, why do we even have our, heroic intelligence? And why does it usually overpower our health intelligence? Well, once again, because especially until you're 25 years old, especially for boys and men, the prefrontal cortex does not develop as fast. So it finishes developing the full prefrontal cortex by 25, for plus minus a couple of years for some guys. But our primal brain always wants to impress, especially women. That's why you always try to act like you're better than you are in front of some chick or some girls, because of this exact concept. Because girls, they don't want some pussy who's not gonna jump off the cliff when needed. But there's a problem here, because there's risks that sometimes overpower the benefits. And especially, it also depends on the quality of women. You just jumped off the cliff for some high school women. And yeah, I was there, so I probably would have watched you. You have to defy those, what are they called? Vices. Those things that you actually, social bribes that you want to fulfill because you're a man. Yeah, women don't want, some sissy. But at the same time, you have to take care of your intelligence. You have to prove yourself in a different realm. It doesn't have to be like this. Even in establishing, a dominance hierarchy. You don't have to impress me or Brad or Justin. You already got some muscle, you're valued a little bit. Like, nah, screw this stuff. I don't want to die. And what's funny is, you have to really try, especially hard, when you are doing this in front of women, because women are the number one desire that you have as a man. Like, one of the top priorities. Like, why do you want to get rich? Well, for women, obviously. Why do you want to build a good body? Well, for women, obviously. Why do you want to be respected amongst guys? Well, probably so that you don't, get beat up or picked on, but also that, women see that other guys respect you, so they respect you too. So that's the problem with women. And there's one exception to this rule. And maybe you can understand what it is. Like, think about this. What's the exception? One exceptional rule to women. Usually most women want to be protected. The one exception is the mother. She wants to protect. So when you are sitting there next to the cliff, the other women who are your potential mating partners, they want to see that you have the capacity to actually go and do the dangerous things, especially when you don't feel like it. But your mother, so, their instinct to be protected appears. The girls want to be protected. The mother, on the other case, is the only female person, or one of the few only female personnels, who actually has the protecting instinct turned on. So she doesn't want to be protected. She wants to protect you because you are her son. And that's just a maternal instinct. How interesting is that? So there's an 18-step guide, which I don't want to talk, it's huge. I don't want to talk about it now, but it's on my Telegram page. And also, I want to give a shameless plug right now. Accountability. A lot of YouTubers, they try to get you in these accountability forums. It's like, yeah, stay accountable, get somebody. A lot of the times, I don't think it works, because, yeah, you might get some, motivation, but after a week, after a month, maybe after a year, that accountability partner is still gonna slack off, because they're humans. So what I've done is I've developed an accountability website where you literally type in, I'll link it in, it's called IID Accountability, Improvement in Depth Accountability. You just type in your email, send me your name, your phone, your goal that you want to fulfill, and your schedule. And you will get an automatic, adjusted to your schedule, accountability messenger that will send you messages occasionally, and much more. And you can obviously support, it's like $1 a day. For $1 a day, it keeps you accountable. There's an SMS system, and then there's also, like, if you want to connect personally to me, it's a calling system, which is like even more guaranteed. But just the SMS system for $1 a day, that could automatically boost your productivity by 90%. Because think about this, you'll be accountable every single time. Literally like twice a day. Depending on your schedule, you'll get a notification, you'll get like other stuff, which you'll probably find out if you get it. There's a lot of cool stuff. Check it out. If you don't want to, you can just, quit it. But I hope that helps. Like, I never even ask you guys to subscribe in the videos because I want this to be pure educational concepts. But I think this is useful. That can actually, benefit you and me. It's a win-win for both of us. Now, let me ask you 3 questions, and you tell me if you qualify for each one of them. Are you between, well, first of all, you're a male, which I'd assume you probably are, according by the audience, because this is a male unit. Are you between ages 18 and 24? Might say you are. And do you have family expectations? Such as, maybe you got to go to college, maybe you're trying, like, your parents want you to be more productive, maybe they're trying to get you to watch less YouTube. And are you usually unsuccessful at meeting these expectations? Because if you qualify for all 3 of these, well, those are the prerequisites to a majority of male suicides. Did you know this? It kind of blew my mind too when I read this fact. Like, Mr. Farrell points this out in his book. 85 years old. We might say, yeah, it's kind of old, but anyway, that's still kind of, that's still an age that a man has to go through. By 85 years old, the probability of men to women committing suicide. You know what? Like, try to guess. What do you think? Maybe you might say, what is it, like 90%? That's really high. Maybe like 95, 100. It's 1,650% of male suicides to women by the age of 85. Now, what does that mean? That means, well, basically for, every 1,650 men that kill themselves, there's 1 woman that kills herself. That's crazy. And you might say, well, now, a good question to ask is, how do you actually prevent suicides? Which, now we're getting more into the solutions, which is super important. And I'm glad you've made it to this point. You are definitely going to be a good father. I'm telling you this right now. If you made it to this point, you're going to be a good father. Because we're about to go some really, really in-depth stuff about how you can actually prevent your son and maybe yourself from doing something that bad. Well, number 1 is to just talk about it. And you might say, well, what if I put, wrong ideas in my son's head? Or maybe my friend, maybe you have a friend, and he's been kind of down lately. And you might be thinking, like, well, what if I, because a lot of us probably don't have sons yet. Or if you have a son, like, basically just talk to him about this. So let's say your friend is sitting there and he's thinking, well, he's kind of down. You're like, what if I talk to him about suicide? Well, wouldn't that plant the wrong idea? What if he actually says, like, oh, yeah. Dude, trust me. If you have thought about suicide, they have probably too. And your sons especially, if you have a son, they develop much more faster. It's a common topic. Like, whenever you think about death, you probably would think about suicides. Especially if you have bad mental health. Now, that doesn't mean you'll execute them. It'll just, a thought will pop up. So, when you talk about this, it's crazy. You can reduce the risk of actually that happening by half. If you talk to your friend or your son about, like, suicides, you might explain to him why, show him the beauties of male life, bro. Say that you can build yourself up to wherever you want as a man. And that if you're a masculine guy, if you hit the gym, show him the pluses of being a man, bro. That's on you, you know what? You do that. Because I know you can. Because you wouldn't be watching. You probably watch a lot of this stuff. Use your knowledge. You are a wise man. Use that knowledge to educate your friend and your son. I'm looking at you. You have to do that. Because you are a warrior in this modern generation for men. You're the toxically masculine warrior, and it's up to you to spread the message and inform other people. So you reduce that risk by half. And then that would obviously, that's still like, that's good. That's not perfect, but that's good. That's better than nothing. And what's crazy is like a lot of these news networks, for example, they don't talk about this stuff. This is what doesn't make any sense. This is why I get fucking mad at this shit. Because you probably do too, because, well, you probably don't know about this. Let me tell you. So, let's say the New York Times, they've released countless records of suicides for women. They talk about how they made a whole article about, I think, top 50 suicides on campuses by women. And they talk about this, and it's just crazy. It's like paragraphs and paragraphs. You can look it up if you want. But there's not a word about men. When we literally just looked at the statistics, how by 85, the percentage of men it's not even big, it's gigantic, it's colossal. And then you go to somebody who's like, the workers, the social workers the Association of Social Workers or something. It's like some government corporate stuff. It's a big association that's supposed to fight for, workers' rights and, suicide prevention. Yeah, suicide prevention. Go get a therapist. Get the fat therapist who can't even sit on a diet. Who's a fat therapist who can't, he literally can't, outgo his sugar addiction. Go to that therapist. He's fat. He's eating chocolates. He can't stop. He can't control himself. He can't conquer his vices, but he's your therapist. You know what the National Association of Workers' Compensation said? They said, when asked, Warren Farrell, the guy who wrote this book, he messaged them. He asked them. He said, why isn't there, more male suicide? Why is it only female suicides? You know what they said? They said that it is too expensive to make articles on male suicides, and it's not profitable in their fashion. And Warren just leaves it off at that, because that just proves everything. That's what I've been saying before to you guys, if you've been watching this for a while. It's all about commerce. Hey, you knew that, yeah. It's all about commerce. The corporate media, they will spin stuff. Those organizations that are supposed to protect you, that literally pay and hire those therapists that they send you to, they don't even care about your health. They care about the profits. Because who cares about male suicide? It's too expensive. We don't want to go, survey all these men. It's too many of them. Too many suicides happening there. Let's look at the women. It's so much easier to collect data. Smaller pool of, suicide. Yeah, let's look at them. It's up to you and me, bro. It's up to you and me to get this done. Remember, the roles switch now. It's not feminism anymore. It's not, the people who say they're brave. I'm brave, I'm a feminist. No. That's not even brave. That's the majority now. Now it's switched. Now, if you actually stand for male rights, you are the minority. If you're a toxically masculine warrior, or something like that, you are actually brave. And I'm proud of you, in case anybody told you. And I'm with you, and a lot of other people are with you. And we're grateful that we have these big channels who support this stuff. For example, show your son the best, probably one of the other, next ways to prevent this stuff is to show them the big channels. Show him Hamza, show them First Man, show them, if you want Tate, show them, Jordan Peterson, who else? Show them maybe some other smaller channels Mike Thurston. Show them the, the sides of male life that can be achieved, and fix their mental health and fix your mental health and your bodies. It's up to you, man. I'm telling you. Like you're sitting here probably, oh yeah, I can't do it. Even if I don't give a single damn. You have no excuses. Even if you're like, well, I'm not the optimal male. I don't care. That doesn't matter. You're in this sphere. You're watching this and you're watching other contents. You are better than you think. And you have the power you the real power, not some like call the hotline, the freaking whatever, the suicide hotline. Yeah, we'll save you. No, you alone can save them, just by telling them, talking about the suicide prevention, and just showing them some channels, maybe getting them in the gym. That's it. That's all you need. That's literally it. Like another thing, let me tell you this story. So I had a friend, he's one of my best buddies. His dad passed away when he was maybe 4 or 5. Like, not like divorce, like he actually like passed away. He's died. And so he was just left alone with his mother and his brother. And when I found this out, I had a lot of respect for his mother. Because, it proved that she's a wise woman. His mother put him in the Boy Scouts Association when he was young. You might say, well, how does that work? Well, because these organizations, like I think it's the Boy Scouts, or the Cub Scouts, I think there's like some Lions Heart Association, I don't know what it is, but it's some kind of like men's group. Because remember, no man has ever been hospitalized for depression by joining a men's group. And the reason is because when you join these clubs, they're designed specifically. Like there's a study, I don't know what it is, but when a boy joins those kinds of masculine like organizations, like Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts or something, they develop those fatherhood skills that they were lacking from when they were young. So it kind of serves to them as like, those old guys in like Boy Scouts who like, yeah, that a boy, you go, yeah, let's get this stuff. Come on, don't be a pussy, let's get that, like that type of energy. That's what they needed that time. And that's what helps them develop into an overall superior, high-value man in the future. And now let's talk about, the general, like, statistics of how you can also improve this. Because I think the next big part that you actually can improve your life as a man is to boost your testosterone. I know, what's his name? Chris from First Man. He's very big on that. And that is true. A lot of YouTubers are big on that. Like, for example, I've been eating a very good diet for a little over a year. So my testosterone boosted up naturally. About maybe a month or 2 ago, I got these light supplements for testosterone. It's like a mix, so it was pretty expensive. So you have to, obviously never be cheap on your health, because that's your health. But also don't go overboard to where, you take some like testosterone supplement and like, and then your body stops producing. Like, do something natural. Try it out. So I tried out this good proven supplement. It's called like Gorilla Mind. Very good. So it's a mix of ashwagandha. It's a mix of Tangat Ali. A mix of vitamin D3. Because that stuff is healthy. Like, I usually just took it alone before that. It's just all mixed. It's good. So that's, for your growth, for your skin. That's sunlight. And there's zinc, which is obviously good for your immune system, for your fertility before you have a kid. Just like some bro science right here. So before you have a kid, it is important that like maybe, a week or something in advance, you start taking zinc, because that'll improve your sperm quality. Nobody tells you that shit, but it's so true. Like, it's kind of like a secret that a lot of guys don't say, but trust me, like you'll have a gorilla-minded kid if you do that. Promise you. And, there's a few other stuff in there. Oh, Phytogia agrestis, that's this third element. All the supplements. And I started taking them, and sometimes when I would wake up, it's just this constant flow of concentration. Like before, I'd wake up and I'd be I have to push no, wake up straight immediately. Like, goddamn, you feel hard work, feeling good. So what does that mean? That means my testosterone has gone up. So I'd assume, I don't think my testosterone at this point is crazy high. Though I know at this point, when I started taking the supplements, before it was maybe around 500. Now I know for sure it is over 500. Maybe like 700. Maybe 750 nanograms per deciliter. But I don't know if it's higher than that yet. But again, I'm a young guy. Probably don't know my age yet, which I haven't spoken about. But as a guy who's 20 or under, your testosterone is still going to grow until you're 25, and in your 30s, your testosterone peaks. Imagine how crazy you can be. The earlier you start, the better you'll be. And another thing, a lot of guys say, well, my problems, male, like, how do you boost it naturally? Like, do you not take the supplements? Yes, you can. Number one, I'll read this out. Like, this guy, bro, he's such a freaking G. He literally wrote a list of what you can do, like 4 things to boost your testosterone. So number one, listen to this. He says, don't take hot baths, because obviously, like, hot baths and saunas, they kill your testosterone, because there's a reason your ball sack is located. I hope there's no one around you when I said that, but it's okay. You're probably in headphones or something. Even if there is somebody around you, screw them, bro. You gotta be a ruthless individual. Be selfish and ruthless. And that's the way you're gonna succeed as a man. But anyway, so there's a reason your ball sack is located away from your body. Because it needs to be specifically regulated by a certain temperature. And I know some people go as extreme as, like not wearing underwear. You might say, well, that's weird. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily weird, because if you think about this, we wear just some kind of t-shirt on the top. We wear, pants. But for some reason, for the body part that has to be kept cool, that's specifically designed by, the creator of humans to be outside of the body, we for some reason not only put pants, but we put another layer of underwear on it. So we put 2 layers of clothes on something that should be kept cool. So that's kind of strange if you think about it. But that's just some food for thought. So don't take too much hot showers, because that will basically kill your sperm. Number 2 is keep a good diet so you don't limit your sugars. Now, I assume as long as you change your mindset and you think of yourself as like a warrior or an athlete, there's an advice to, like, think of yourself as an athlete. What would an athlete eat? You eat those foods. But for some people it doesn't work. Like for me, I kind of transition, like, think of yourself as maybe a warrior. You choose whatever you want to, like, call yourself like Top G or something. Would a Top G eat goldfish? Nah, fuck those goldfish, bro. Top G eats, some meat, some steak, some vegetable, something natural. What would a warrior eat? Number 3, and like what we've just talked about, this really good, but there's an even bigger part, which is right here. So number 3 is you have to keep your cell phone out of your pocket. Now there's studies that, I know a lot of YouTubers mention this, but there's also a study in the book specifically that Warren Farrell talks about. He says that it is specifically important that there are already studies that show that cell phone and cell service, like the stuff that, goes through, and people are like, yeah, coping fucking, there's cell phone service everywhere. Yeah, of course there is. But they're not specifically directed to your balls. When you have a cell phone next to your balls, all that cell service, it comes together to that, like, your balls. And it's centered there. So, I usually keep my phone in maybe my pocket, like up here, or hold it in the hand, or, if worse comes to worse, at least put it in your, like, back pocket to where your butt is. Though that's also not ideal, but that's better than putting it in your front pocket. Think about how fucked this is, bro. Like, let's, talk conspiracy theories wise. You have the body part of reproduction, which was meant to be, kept outside, literally. It's an important body part. Like if you get hit in the nuts, that hurts as fuck. So why isn't it inside? It's not inside because it needs to be kept cool. Nature gave us this, evolution. But for some reason, society made us wear underwear, one piece of clothing, put another piece of clothing, pants on top of that, and we usually just wear a t-shirt on the top, one piece of clothing. So we have already two pieces of clothing covering our balls, keeping the heat in there, taking hot baths, and we also have a cell phone with pockets specifically designed right next to your balls. Like, look at the normal pocket of like your jeans. They could have designed a pocket to be at least like on the side of the jean, like not like there's, the back pockets of the jeans and then there's the sides of the jeans which don't have anything. Why not put the pocket to the side of the jeans? Why specifically put it right next to your balls? And have the cell service go in there with your doubled layer of clothing, the underwear and the pants, shorts. Kind of interesting. And then the final, few things that he mentions is you have to exercise regularly. Like, watch my guide, because it goes a lot of like the morning routine guide. I've switched it up a little bit, but it's still the same principles. Like jump roping in the morning, it gets your lymph going, or doing some kind of like hops, super important. So bro, let me ask you these 3 characteristics and you tell me if you qualify. Are you a man? I assume you probably are. Are you 18 to 24 years old? I assume you're also probably 18 to 24 years old. Might not be, maybe a little older, a little younger. And do you have expectations from your family that you specifically are kind of maybe, going to college, maybe, being more productive, stop watching as much YouTube videos, getting out the trash, that you're kind of, failing to meet? If you said yes, those are the top 3 qualifications of the majority of male suicides. And check this out, I've never even heard of this fact. Mr. Farrell mentions this in his book. The percentage of 85-year-old people, you have men and women who are 85 years old. 85-year-old men, try to guess the percentage of maybe how much, they commit suicide over women. Maybe like, 10% more? No, it's probably not 10, you know it. You know it, right? It's not 10%. So what is it, like 95? 100? 1,650% more likely. So what does that mean? That means for every 1,650 men who kill themselves, there's one woman who kills herself. Think about how crazy that is. That is an insane amount of men over 85 dying. And that's still kind of young. Like for a man, you still have at least 10 more years if you take care of yourself properly. So how do you actually prevent this? Because this is why you have to take action. You gotta understand, and I talked about this a lot. Now it's switched. It's not feminism anymore. People who say they're like feminists and I'm brave. No, you're fucking not brave. There's too many feminists now. Take a look at the male problems now. The men are the ones who have to actually start speaking out now. Those are the truly brave people, and there's a guide on fearlessness that's gonna come out. Super important. The men have to stand up. You, the guy, and you might be thinking, well, I'm not the best in self-improvement yet. That doesn't matter. The number one thing to fix suicides now is to talk about them. So you might say like, well, doesn't that push the thought of, what if the guy is sitting, let's say you have a kid. You don't want to push the thought of, making suicide, or let's say you have a buddy who's sitting there. He's kind of down the past few days. You noticed him walking around. He's like kind of tired. He's blank stares, You might think, well, if I go over and I talk to him about suicides, wouldn't he consider that? No, trust me. The opposite. He's already guaranteed thought about this. Excuse me. He has thought about this 100 times. Any man that gets sad That is one of their thoughts that they turn to. Especially kids, you know? So if you think your son hasn't thought about it, you're too naive, bro. They have. So statistically shown that if you want to, talk about this to your kid or your friend, it will reduce their likelihood of killing themselves by half. Literally half. It's likely that they won't kill themselves. That is a big, big accomplishment already. That's not perfect, and we'll talk about this now, how we can make it even better. This is a huge accomplishment. Because it's all up to you, man. Like you right now who's watching this, who hasn't drank his water yet. Have you drank your water? Don't lie. Have you drank your water? Since the start of this video, it's been a while. You probably haven't drank water. Make sure you get a gallon to keep your testosterone high, which we're going to talk about now. And you know what's crazy is the fact that all these associations that are meant to help men. So for example, the New York Times, like publicity-wise, they recorded a ton of studies about suicides in college campuses, top 50 suicides of women. That's kind of strange, considering that there's the statistic that we've just talked about of a way more colossal amount of men killing themselves over women. Why? There's literally in 2015, they wrote a New York Times, you can search this up, like female suicides in campuses, college campuses. It's like top 50 or something. And then you have the national, like let's look at this. You have the National Association of Workers' Compensation, or so. It's some corporate-y stuff. Warren mentions this in his book. He literally called that association up, and he asked, why is they always review female suicides, not a lot of males? You know what they told him? They told him that what I tell you guys all the time, that it's too expensive. It's too expensive to make male suicide reviews because there's so much, and it works out better if you do females. It's all about commerce. What I always say. That's why we gotta get rich. To get rich, keep yourself accountable with my program. Sorry, I won't plug this anymore. I just genuinely think it could help you. And it would help me. But why do they not mention the men? Just because of commerce. Because they say that they care, but they honestly don't give a damn. You, the person who's watching this video, cares 100 times more about men's mental health without saying that than those corporations do. And they publicize that everywhere. Yeah, suicide, call the suicide prevention hotline. Fuck that shit, bro. That doesn't work. A man calls his best buddy if he is thinking of doing that stuff, which is you. Because they're not going to talk about the corporations of how a guy feels when he actually decides to take courage and bravery and tell his parents that he doesn't necessarily want to go to college, that he doesn't want to, get that job. Maybe he doesn't want to get those perfect grades. That he has different desires that fulfill his purpose. The man that actually says that he doesn't want to go to this big university that he got accepted to. That doesn't make his parents proud. So what? He knows that that's not his calling deep inside, and he's willing to work hard on his different purpose. The man that has to explain to his girlfriend, kind of like, or the girl he meets, he's like, I'm going to get a nursing degree. What are you gonna get? Well, yeah, and you're trying to not look, weird. You're trying to look calm and cool, and you're kind of like, yeah, I'm not probably gonna go to college. That mental pressure that you have. And the girl is like, oh. Moments like that nobody really talks about for men. That is what me and you have to fix. The only people who do that is those communities on YouTube. And a few other places. And you might say, well, there's a lot of YouTubers there, like Hamza. What does he got? Like almost 2 a little over 2 million subscribers. But considering there's billions of people, there's 4 billion men in the world, what the fuck is 2 million? That's absolutely nothing. That is nothing. And I'm not even talking about, the littler channels. Like, there's a ton of other channels that are not even that big. That is nothing. And this is the problem that, again, like, there's a next section. Maybe if you've read this book, I'm not going to talk about this section because I think it's bullshit. It talks about, like, fucking hereditary shit. It's like, oh, maybe if you, like, that's the only point that I don't like in this book. It's like, if there's a history of suicides, there's a fucking study that's been done. I looked up that said that there's 2 people and they both had, like, really big suicide history in their families. And they're, like, saying, like, yeah, like, this, like, one of them, they told them, they're like, your mom and your great-grandma, they committed suicides. That person was literally, believe it or not, more inclined to take, he almost ended up killing himself, and they were both guys. He got depressed, all proper, everything, got like, yeah, sad, The other guy, he had the exact same situation, like his great-grandpa killed himself, his grandmother and grandpa, I think, both killed themselves or something. But he was not told that. And you know what ended up happening? He didn't end up not only not killing himself, he actually prospered. He became like a corporate exec in some big freaking, I think it was a store chain. Might have been like J.C. Penney in America or something. Think about this. 50 Cent, in the next review we're going to do about fearlessness, he talks about alcoholism. He says, like, his grandpa was an alcoholic, like the rapper. Literally the rapper. Curtis Jackson. He says his grandpa used to drink, and he says people think that it's hereditary. It's not hereditary because he doesn't drink. So boom, that's it. That myth is busted. But think about Hamza. Think about his dad. He drinks. Does Hamza drink? No, he doesn't. My grandpa, personally, gotta admit, he starts drinking a little bit, towards the end. My great-grandfather, the Russian guy, his name was Deda Lyonya, who bent horse hooves. When he was getting older, he also started kind of drinking a lot. I think there were even instances where, he might have been a little abusive towards his wife, maybe kids. No, my grandpa now. Why is it that I don't drink then? Why is it that my Dagestani father, whose father, his name's Agahan, he drinks? Why does my dad, his name's Tamerlan, why does he not drink? Why do I not drink? Why does my stepdad not drink? We've all had, family members who drank. That's the same exact process with weed and smoking. Same exact process. For example, let's talk about this. When you smoke weed, I like to be in control of my emotions. This is the next unit we're going to talk about. I want to give you a little, heads up. Reality. Living in reality. This is super important. You have to be aware. You have to be, snappy in this world. If you drink and smoke weed, that clouds your mind. This is one of the reasons I don't like drinking. One of the big reasons I love 50 Cent and his philosophy on this. Huge respect to this guy. He says when he is at a big meeting, or he's hosting some party, if he smokes, he doesn't understand. People get high and smoke, and they lose all control. He says he'd be freaking out. I would be freaking out if I'm high in some party, and I'm walking around like everything is moving and everything is like you're almost almost sleeping or something. Everything's in slow-mo. In case you've never smoked weed, that's kind of how it feels. It's just basically, it's really nothing crazy. It's just kind of like you're in slow-mo. He would be freaking out. I would be freaking out because I lose control on reality. And he says this good example, a lot of rappers who drink and smoke, they say, well, that gets me in a creative mood. He says that's also BS. Think about this, you're a rapper, and you get in some good mood when you smoke. and this is like the topic of crutches, what I'll talk about later. Let's say Dr. Dre comes rolling around the studio. And Dr. Dre is saying like, I'm gonna be there in 30 minutes, or like, 15 minutes, get me some track going. And you don't have any weed around you, you don't have any smoke, like blunts or joints. No pens. Are you gonna tell some guy, oh, Dre, wait a second, I actually gotta get high first before I make a track. What the fuck? Like, what? That makes you dependent on that stuff. And let's go back to these, associations, like we're fighting for this stuff. And another big example, aside from the reducing your child's or best friends or even yourself's risk of committing suicide by half, you can talk, but you can also, what you can do, and let me tell you a story. I had this friend, he's a very good friend of mine. He lost his father when he was maybe 4. He was super young. His dad died, like not divorced. He died. Like he suffered a stroke or something. And you know what his mom did when, her husband died? This is why I respected his mom a lot after this moment. She sent him to Boy Scouts, which is an association of, in case, maybe I don't know if it's anywhere else. In America, it's like this association where, you go as a guy and then you like do a bunch of manly shit, like fucking like a training to be like a surviving in the wild stuff. I don't know how to explain it best. It's like survival skills. And the reason why I had a lot of respect for his mom was because it's written in this book by Warren Farrell that it is important to put your kids, if they don't have a good masculine father figure, in these associations. Like in America, there's Boy Scouts, there's Cub Scouts. I think there's like some Lions Heart Association, which is more for men. And there's just normal men's clubs of like talking, divorce clubs. Because remember, no man got hospitalized for depression after going to a man's self-help club or association. We gotta start taking care of ourselves and our friends. Like I was at a gas station the other day too, and I'm dressed nice, all that stuff. And there's a guy who walks up to me and he's got like tear tattoos and shit, and he's got like fucking tattoos everywhere. He looked like Nate Diaz from but he was a little chubbier. He walks up and he's like, man, I hate to bother you. He's like, but I got like a fucking ex-gang member. It's like, I hate to bother you, but can you really like spare me like a few changes? I forgot my cards at home and I tried to get home. And at first I was gonna be like, I wasn't necessarily intimidated, because I was coming back from like I had a good boxing workout, and obviously like I kind of looked at him like, okay, I can fucking knock him out if something goes bad. And then there was obviously still people around me, but I was like, nah. But then I kind of thought about this. And before I opened my mouth, I had this big bill. It's $100 bill. Now you probably think I gave him, no, I didn't give him $100. But I told him, I'm like, man, you know what, hang on, fine, I'll get you something. I went in, and I cashed it in, I gave him a few bucks. Like obviously, I gave him like $5 or $10, I forget. And man, he was so happy. Because think about this, what is that money to me? That doesn't mean anything. That extra plus minus $10, your time is what's valuable. And I just made that guy's day. And he shook my hand proper and stuff. Yeah, maybe he had like his tears, maybe he killed somebody, so maybe a few people, and I just shook his hand. But like, fuck this. We gotta support each other as men. Because how the fuck am I supposed to talk about this and not practice what I preach? Not like recording it on video. I helped this homeless person. Fuck that shit. It's up to you. You're the hero. And especially if you're watching this, you are a brave motherfucker. I'm telling you. And you're a smart person. For raising your kids. Talking about suicide prevention. Getting them in these clubs. So, let's talk about now the bro science, my personal takes on how you can boost your masculinity. So number one, it's, maybe you've heard this, you've probably heard this, testosterone. How do you optimize this? Super important. Number one is you have to get that up. Before, I hopped on these lifestyle supplements a few days ago. Not a few, I'm sorry, a few months ago. Maybe weeks, not months, let's say weeks. So I've been having a pretty clean diet for a little over a year. I would say my testosterone at this current time, because I've never told you guys my real age, have I? But let's say if I'm right now at 20 or below, years I'm talking about, my testosterone isn't at its peak yet. So your testosterone peaks about 25, 30-ish. Then it starts going down. I would say I was about maybe 500, maybe 600 nanograms per deciliter. I started going on these supplements. Started taking more care of myself. And I've moved out to this special place. So I started like also, getting like enough nutrition, getting, outside sunlight, jogs, proper, like occasionally ball tanning or sunning. And right now, after I've taken those supplements, started taking them for a bit. You never cheat on your health, remember. The supplements, they were pretty fucking expensive. Like, they were like $80, I think. But they had everything. They had like vitamin D, which is the sun. They had zinc, which is good for your fertility. It's good for your immune system. By the way, there's this bro science hack. Nobody told you about it. Before you have a kid, like a week or something, start taking zinc. That will like elevate your semen quality 100 times. Nobody talks about this, but I'm telling you, like, trust me, you'll get a freaking gorilla that pops out, bro. Like, the kid will already have like fucking 800 nanograms plus of testosterone just straight from the womb, bro. But anyway, so that's super important. And then, my focus started increasing. Like, I'll just wake up and hard work started feeling good. Even better. Before it was okay, I'd love my gym sessions. I'd be like, yeah, that's nice, diesel. Like, after that, it was just diesel. Like, it was complete. Like, you just wake up and you just sit down and you're like, diesel. Like, diesel, bro. Like, it's crazy. You walk around and you're just eager. Like, you don't even notice some stuff because you're that focused. Maybe you should try them out. Pretty good. So there's no specific brand, but make sure they're good quality. Like, those had everything. They had like ashwagandha, tanga, alif, doja, agrestis, all that stuff. Don't go too crazy though, because if you decide to go on some hard testosterone stuff, like, that can actually make you dependent. And once you hop off, like, your body won't produce testosterone. But make sure, like, keep it light, like herbal, natural stuff that works. Vitamin D3, zinc, that's also good. Aside from that, if you don't want to, a lot of people say, well, I don't want to do supplements. What can I also do? You can start avoiding hot baths. Because hot baths actually decrease your overall, ability to make sperm. It kills your sperm. Because there's hot, like in Russia, maybe shoot you a picture, used to do like banya, which is like sauna. And you slap yourself with, like, you go to some forest. I'll go with my grandpa, in Russia, because it's fucking, like, primal shit. You go in the forest, you get, like, some birch branches, or, like, oak branches, and you make this little, like, tie, you whip yourself, you, like, smack each other. You sit in the hot sun, and you smack each other with, like, birch leaves, and then, like, it's good, man. You should try it out if you've never been, but it's super cool. And then that actually is okay, but you have to obviously, keep your balls cool. Like, put them on some kind of, like, maybe wet towel and don't stay in there too long. Another thing is, hot showers, which you should also try to avoid. I try to get my showers like medium. Mornings, cold showers, because that decreases your dopamine levels for 6 hours. So that's good. And then obviously, you can check out my guide if you want. Limiting how hot your showers are. Avoid those baths. Never take baths. Well, not never take baths. I'm talking about like hot, like the tub baths, where you get in a tub and you're playing with your freaking lavender estrogenic cream. Check out the estrogen guide too if you haven't checked that out. Talks a lot about this stuff. And then we talk about Well, clothing. Because notice how interesting this is. Probably watching this. And you're wearing right now what? You're wearing like a, maybe some t-shirt, maybe you're in, half naked, maybe you aren't wearing even any t-shirt. Think about how crazy this is. On our top body, we wear our t-shirts. And then, just a t-shirt, something light, Head, we don't wear anything. We don't wear anything, like on our arms usually, unless it's a cold place. But our balls, they're literally meant to be, like when you get smacked in the balls, it's not pleasant, right? So why are they located away from our body? Well, it's because, there's a certain purpose. They have to be kept cool. That's how important it is to keep them cool. Literally, nature made our balls be on the outside of our body, in this little sack of skin, outside. So tell me, why is it that we put most of our clothing around our balls? Might be saying, what are you talking about? You have a t-shirt on top, you have pants on your legs, but on your balls, you actually have pants or shorts, and you have underwear. Another layer of clothing, 2 layers of clothing. For something that's meant to actually not be as, heated up and cool. Is that kind of weird? Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't wear underwear. And there's gonna be these estrogen fucking motherfuckers. If you do wanna, go ahead. I'm gonna leave that up to you. Like, obviously you don't have to tell that to anybody, like in your coworkers. Again, you're in the top 99th percentile of men. This is what's important for you to understand. Like, you can have this approach of like, don't tell anybody, just be kind of your own guy. I have the opposite approach because I don't give a fuck what they say. Like, if I talk to somebody who I think is worthy and they're like, oh, you're just weird. I'm like, you're fucking estrogenic, bro. Like, what are they gonna do? Pull up to my house? Like, the worst that can happen is, some chick like pulls up to your house and is like, oh, you cheated, I mean, shut the blinds and get to work, bro. Come on, like, what is it? Nobody cares. Like, never even see them again. So, it is important that you take care of your health. And I'm going to talk about this in the fearlessness guide, because fearlessness is, I think, the key quality for a man. A lot of these YouTubers are missing one key feature. It's fearlessness. They talk about, productive work, focus, learning. Fearlessness is a huge part. But we'll talk about this later. So then, check this out. The phone. You've heard a lot of people say, they say, well, don't wear your phone. Warren Farrell literally proves this in his book. He shows a study, which I don't want to look at this right now. It's on the internet if you want to look for it. That cell service actually is bad for your balls. Your phone emits waves of that. And you might be coping. Maybe your dad told you. They said like, yeah, I'd suck. Yeah, what the fuck? Like, I literally had this guy who I would go out. He was a pussy. It's like, you're wearing your phone? I would tell him, like keeping my phone, because I usually have it in my pocket or my hand. He's like, why are you in your pocket here? Why didn't you just put it in your front pocket? I say, no, that's not good. He says, what? No, that's like, what the hell? No, he literally started laughing. He's like, like, and I laughed at him internally. Like, where the fuck are your testosterone levels, and where are my testosterone levels? But some people, they just don't understand that the cell, he was saying, well, there's cell service everywhere. They're going through you right now. Haha, it's okay. See, you're already being exposed. Yes. You are being exposed. But there's one but. It's called intensity. If you don't have your phone anywhere, yes, you have stuff going through your body, but they're not directed at your balls specifically, and there's not a lot of them. When you take your phone that uses cell service, and you put that in your pocket, that brings that cell radiation next to your groin area. And let's say, even worse, you put some computer on it too, like you're putting it on your lap to work. That's double radiation. It's literally around your balls. And think how fucked that is. Think about, like, tell me, I'm not getting into conspiracy theories, but why is it that the reproductive organ of men, that is so important, that's literally meant to be on the outside of your body, kept cool, it's actually kept extra warm by society, by having us wear underwear, pants, and in addition to that, we have our phone, which out of any place to make a pocket, they decide to make it right there on the pants, next to your balls, which are already covered by 2 or maybe even 3 layers of clothing. Kind of weird, don't you think? So, if you put your phone anywhere, again, like, even probably putting in your back pocket, you know, your pocket where, like, all the annoying, like, Instagram girls put it, or, like, the back, like, jean pocket, that's probably better, too, but that's still not ideal. Like, hold it in your hand or keep it in, like, some side pocket. That is important. And finally, we have, you know, our health lifestyle. So, you know, keep healthy, get the good food, and get your exercise in. Man spread as much as you want, and I'll be with you. Anybody who fucking tells you that you're bad, just literally tell them to watch me, or just ask them what their testosterone levels are. You know? And so now let's go ahead and talk about the mindset, because this is the other big part. So mindset, I'll finish this off with a concept that I came up with. I think for mindset, it's pretty important. So there's a concept that I've developed, and what I call this concept, I call this the concept of the spirit of the unfulfilled soldier or warrior. I might say, what does that mean? So let's go back. You had this guy who was fighting, let's say some knight back in England in like, I don't know, 1250 in the Common Era. And he he's fighting, he wants to go home, he wants to make a huge family, he wants to keep his kingdom, he wants to preserve his king, and he's going at this other knight, and then they fight, and the other opposing knight, maybe from France or something, he pierces his armor, and he gets his spear in between his rib cage, and the knight falls and dies without being able to go back to his home, and he's not sure what's happening to his wife. Now let's move back further in time. Let's go to the Napoleonic Wars. Let's say there's a Russian general. His name is Alexander Suvorov. And let's say there's like Napoleon. He's approaching the city of Moscow. He had to burn the whole city down. That's literally what they did. Like, nobody talks about this. I know, I've never heard that mentioned. Like, the Russians were the ones who actually defeated both Napoleon and Hitler. Because, if you think about it in a sense, Napoleon was going to conquer Russia. He conquered, like, most of Europe. He was going on to Russia. What the generals had to do there is they had to literally burn the whole city so that Napoleon didn't have a place to. That's a history lesson for you guys. You're welcome. They had to burn the whole city, like the whole town of Moscow, because it was wooden, so Napoleon wouldn't have a place to stay and his troops wouldn't have the place to stay. And they would just move backwards. And then Napoleon eventually froze to death. They say like General Frost, General Moroz, he defeated both Hitler and Napoleon. Because then, obviously, you get deeper into Russia and Siberia, and it's like, whoop, whoop. And then you get the Russian spirit, and it crushes the enemies because the enemies just get colder and colder, and the Russians get warmer and warmer, bro. But it's like stuff like that. So then, he kept coming on, and then eventually the Russians are happy, they're dancing there. But then unfortunately, one of them catches a disease. And he's eager to go home, and he's eager to rebuild his, he wants to become a merchant. He wants to sell stuff. And he goes home, and he wants to travel, maybe, get a bunch of stuff going. And he dies. And then, now you'll see where I'm going with this. Then let's transform back to or forward. Let's go ahead to move to I don't know, World War II. They're fighting this guy. Let's again use a Russian soldier. He's fighting the Nazis. It's 1943, about to happen, the turn of the war. The Russians are defending Moscow. Like, if only I could survive this, and I can defeat Moscow. Or I'm sorry, I can defend Moscow, the city. Then I would have so much stuff to do. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna marry this beautiful girl, and I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna become an intellectual. I wanna play chess. I want to become a chess grandmaster. If only I could do it. And then he gets taken out by a German grenade. He didn't have time to accomplish his stuff. Now finally, before I tell you what this means, let's go forward to 1979. 1979 Soviet Union again. Let's do that. Afghanistan. There's a young guy who's going in Afghanistan. He gets sent there. And he's 18 years old. Before that, he had a girlfriend who he really wanted to try to penetrate with love and be a superior man to her. And then he saw this thing that's starting to pop off. He wanted to try actually getting in the whole idea of selling stuff. He wanted to start a business of lawn mowing. Of mowing the lawns for, a lot of expensive guys. He made those sales plans. He made everything. He made these. He's just like you. He made sales plans. He actually had a whole little journal where he would made the prices and everything. And he was just about to go execute. He had a potential client. He's fighting. And he's stressed. And he thinks, man, I'm going to endure all this stress. And I'm going to come out a stronger man. My girl will love me even more, and I'll be able to actually, he understands that after he's endured all this stress on the battlefield, actually starting a business is gonna be easy. Like in Russia, they say расплюнуть. Like it's as easy as spitting. Poo, so easy. That's it. And he thinks that, and he knows it. But a few days before he's about to get, switched out for the next crew of soldiers, he's driving in a tank. He's sitting on top of a tank. And then a guy from the ISIS shoots him with a grenade launcher. The tank explodes. He's dead. All those people and their spirits that were unfulfilled. The spirit of the unfulfilled warrior. Where did they go? Can you imagine the power that they have? That power is in you. That power, that if you think about this, your great-grandfather, because this is your dad, this is your great-grandfather. It doesn't have to be from Russia, it can be any place. This is your great-great-grandfather. They've died and they've sacrificed all of this stuff. Because they wanted to do so much stuff, but they couldn't. And now you're like those guys on golf course, wasting your life. Playing golf. Smoking weed. Jerking off to fucking Instagram. Losing testosterone. Losing your gains. Think about what all those people before you would have given to actually be in your position. That guy back in the British Knight, the guy in the Napoleonic Wars, the World War II guy with a beautiful, loving wife, wanted kids, the guy in 1979 in Afghanistan. That spirit is in you. You always have to do this, the spirit of the unfulfilled soldier. The more tragedies that happen to you, and you see it happen around you, the more you're fueled, the more your spirit gets bigger. Always keep that in mind. And the next thing that you can couple this with is the right mindset. I like the Mike Tyson mindset. It's the mindset of where you have some ghetto gym, because again, the gyms that are the best are usually the most ghetto. You go in this like underground basement gym and you're staring at yourself and you're like, oh, switch your atmosphere. I'm telling you, switch. If you go to some like YMCA or something and you've already been going there and the energy just doesn't feel right, switch the fucking gyms or start working out at home. Transform yourself. You are a new person now. The spirit of the unfulfilled soldier is in you. And it's super strong because you're the most recent generation. You've absorbed all those spirits. And you have the ambition to show that your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, your great-great-grandfather, all of those people can be fulfilled in you. And so this mindset of Mike Tyson grindset, literally imagine that you're, place yourself in one of those situations. Imagine you just came back from like Afghanistan and you had a bullet that just whistled right past your temple. You could have been dead. There's a good clip. Like this one guy, there's a Russian film named Brigada. This guy, there's an explosion and he gets shot a few times, but he survives and he's like on the edge of death. He's like walking with a stick. And the guy that actually sent him to, be killed, he's still alive. And he knows who it is. He's walking there with his little stick. And that man is literally, let me show you this. I don't know about copywriting. I'm gonna have to show you this clip to understand it better. Do you think this guy right here cares about getting girls? Do you think this guy cares about fucking going to some club? Do you think this guy cares about some boss giving him fucking attitude? Do you think this guy cares about, some fucking Halloween or some fucking break, some weekend, some movie, Marvel movie came out? He would look at you. The only thought in his eyes, in this case, is revenge. And he's smiling because he wants that revenge. For you, it doesn't have to be revenge. But maybe it's anger to become better. Anger to retire your family. To literally build generational wealth. And you can do that. Think about this. You literally can do this. You can. There's nothing impossible about it. People have done this before you. Become a monster and control it. Finally, I think the best way, point before I gotta go, because I gotta get my future build, is to start living alone. Literally, I don't care what happens. Once you start living alone, all those like thoughts of, sometimes you have these thoughts of like, what if this girl, I'm about to meet with her. How am I going to plan out the date? Oh, maybe I should invite her. Should I not invite her? Should I maybe, there's some food I got to eat. Should I go to Taco Bell or should I go to this other place? Once you start living alone, you actually have real pressure that you might, you need to put food in your mouth. You have to pay the bills. All of that stuff it disappears. It disappears. There's no more of this, oh, maybe I should wear this outfit. You're like, fuck the outfit. Fuck the bitch. Fuck the food. Choice. I gotta get this stuff done. And yeah, you're a little bit paranoid. But even 50 Cent said, a little bit of paranoia is actually healthy. And now you are closer. You've unleashed your spirit of the unfulfilled warrior.